Last week I spoke to you about the Israeli attacks on Hezbollah and in Lebanon, and that time I focused mainly on the attacks by the pagers and on the attacks the following day by when the walkie-talkies exploded. And I talked to you of certain aspects related to that. Now, after that, this week what you witnessed is an escalation, a moving up on the escalatory ladder as far as the attacks were concerned, and this time on 27th of September, they targeted the leader of the Hezbollah, the chief of the Hezbollah, who's been heading Hezbollah for the past 32 years, Hassan Nasrallah. Hassan Nasrallah was a cleric who's been heading Hezbollah, and a large amount of people say that this assassination of Hassan Nasrallah has dealt a severe blow not only to the Hezbollah, but also to the alignment of the Iranian-backed forces across the region. Now, under Nasrallah, Hezbollah, Iranians' closest ally and critical deterrent force, was the central pillar of Tehran's axis of resistance. Now, for Israel, his targeting and death was a bold escalatory step, and this was followed up by a limited ground invasion where people said it will be limited to the south. So, what happens? What's going to happen ahead? Where do you think we are today? There's a constancy of conflicts which are there in the region. Everybody feared that after 7th October, when the problem took place with Hamas coming into Israel and Israel retaliating back, that this may spread to a wider conflict. From 8th October onwards, the Hezbollah had started targeting, targets in northern Israel. That is from southern Lebanon. They were targeting northern Israel. And as a result, there were over 60,000 people who had been displaced from that area. But this remained contained in that belt. After that, we saw an escalation which took place. Everybody was worried throughout this that can there be an event that leads to an escalation, any miscalculation, anything that leads to an escalation, or will there be a change of strategy that leads to an escalation? The event which most people feel occurred when Israel targeted a unit, not a unit, when Israel targeted the Iranian embassy in Syria, killing a senior Israeli officer. Now, after that, in April, Iran responded with missiles. That was the first direct strike on Israeli soil from Iran, but it was contained because of the so-called Iron Dome and the David Sling, as well as the piercing arrows. They have this missile defense. At that time also, it was not only Israel that contained these missiles and stopped them. Few, of course, got to, but they were also helped by the US and other allies. So it was contained. Now what we've seen is, after the firing of a rocket on a ship after firing of a rocket in Majid Shams on 27th of July, this escalation between Israel and Hezbollah went up several notches. And Israel had done before that, they targeted Ismail Hanif, they targeted in Tehran, they've now targeted Nasrallah, they've had a targeted large number of Hezbollah operatives by these walkie-talkies and by the pagers. And in each one of these, they have demonstrated two things which stand out. One is their ability to pick up these locations of these people. That is, they have had some credible intelligence. So they've got intelligence, and they've definitely infiltrated both in the ranks of Hezbollah as well as in the ranks of the IRGC. So there's no doubt about that. And the second thing what they brought out is their level of technology, the technology that exists. And it's quite amazing, because tomorrow, imagine today you've targeted a device which is out is not current. That is a pager. Pagers are no longer current. They are, you can say, previous generation technology vis-a-vis mobiles and laptops today. So they've targeted them. And how would they have gotten? They've broken into the supply chain. So they've got into the supply chain. And you read about it. The company is a Taiwanese company manufacturing something in Hungary, owned by a lady who's in Romania. And this is being supplied to the Hezbollah in large number. An explosive was placed inside that and it was set off by, some aircraft crossing. So just look at the technology. As far as Nasrallah's death was concerned, they say they had precise information where he was. He went down 6 stories down underground, yet they were able to target him. And the press, the Hezbollah release says that he died of suffocation over there. That's what's come out. His body is intact. He's died of suffocation. But there's no doubt that what it has done is we have seen a new era coming in as far as warfare is being conducted. And now many people in the region have welcomed Hezbollah's death. Many people, because Lebanon, as you all know, is a sharply divided country. There are Christians, there are Muslims. The Christians are Maronites, the Christians are Greek Orthodox, the Christians are Protestant. And as far as the Muslims are concerned, they are Shias, they are Sunnis, and they are Druze. So it's a mixed population over there. So certain sections of this society was not happy with the way that the Hezbollah was conducting themselves. So there was, some people are saying there's rejoicing in certain areas in there. Also, large number of Sunnis rejoiced in Syria. So, there's rejoicing over there. But what have we seen today is that conflict is reached a point between Iran and Israel, which is dangerous. Because now what is the next step? The next step was that they came in here, Iran has targeted Israel with 200 missiles, out of which they've said there's been minor damage. One Palestinian has only died. And apart from that, only few structural damages have taken place. But in the strike by Iran, Iran has demonstrated some sort of, restraint, and Iran has only targeted military targets. In the first time, they targeted military targets which were away from built-up centers. This time, they said they targeted military targets which were close to or within built-up centers, and they mainly targeted the Masoud headquarters and the airfield from where the F-35s had taken off. So this is where it leaves. Now, in the meantime, 2 more interesting developments have taken place. The Israelis have said that the UN Secretary General, the man who's there responsible to maintain peace, is a persona non grata because he has failed to condemn Iranian missile attack on Israel. Now, before that, he had not even condemned before that, he has always been talking peace. So, and the Iranian missile attack on Israel is a result of the steps taken by Israel recently. I'm very, very clear on that. If these steps had not been taken, this would not have taken place. The other question is whether you need to target a terrorist. The answer is yes. There's no doubt about that. So Iran was playing a double game. It was, not engaging with Israel directly, but it had a large number of proxies, and they were using these people to target Israel. And that's what's happened. So now the UN Secretary General has been banned. And at the same time, Prime Minister Netanyahu has openly stated that they will carry out certain action. From the latest inputs that I've got, the ground offensive is gaining momentum. They've got a large number of people going in for the ground offensive, and there's almost 2 divisions worth of troops which are going in. But what are they targeting, and to what level will they be able to destroy the Hezbollah positions over there? Also named to be seen. Today is 3rd October. We are almost 1 year away from the 7th October strike of Hamas. Hamas was different from Hezbollah because Hamas doesn't share a border with any other country except for Israel and a small border with Egypt. And Egypt is that Philadelphia corridor has also been blocked, and the other side is the sea. Whereas Lebanon has a large border with Syria, from where supplies and arms can come in. So it has a land border. 2.3 billion people still remain in Gaza. The hostages still remain there. So there's a problem there. But definitely things would have been under control. Otherwise, Israel would not have decided to take on the Hezbollah at this time without having dealt a substantial blow to the Hamas leadership, which they've done. In the meantime, if you look at it, a large number of Hezbollah leadership has also been targeted. So where are we today? What are the risks that the world is being confronted with? And many people have clung to the illusion that, the conflict in the north, that is South Lebanon, can be contained and it will not spiral out of control. But if this missile exchange increases, and with Israel saying that we will now target, which is the next level they'll target, the next level they'll say is if they target the Iranian leadership or they target the Iranian nuclear facilities. What manner will Iran respond? That needs to be seen. And will Iran respond by merely targeting Israel, or will it respond by targeting shipping that goes through the Straits of Hormuz? Will it target US shipping? Will it target any shipping of some allies? If Israel destroys oil facilities, will that result in the global prices of crude spiking, which will affect a large number of people? So the fallout of this conflict has wide regional and wide global implications. So, as I talked about, the first possibility could have been a miscalculation. Second possibility is that was this a deliberate strategy by Israel to move up several notches on the escalatory ladder? And as I said earlier, there are no guarantees that the war will remain short, the war will remain limited, and the war will remain contained. Today, there are two major conflicts that are going on. One is the Israel-Gaza, and the second is Ukraine, the Ukraine-Russia. And we saw what happened earlier. Ukraine launched, it's now entered its Feb 2022, wherein October 2024. The third winter is approaching. And yesterday, Russia troops captured Volodymyr, and the next place they are heading towards Pokrovsk. So, look at the problem over there. Ukraine has moved a large number of their forces into the Kursk region. US is committed there also. So, that's not been a short war. 2 years plus is a long war. There are a large number of casualties. But the number of casualties, as far as the collateral damage is concerned, is far greater in Gaza. And there's a lot of, outcry and support for the Palestinians who have lost their homes, who have been displaced across the world. So one side you see countries supporting the Israel, and at the other side you see people of those countries supporting the Palestinians. You saw it in London, you've seen it in New York, and it's spreading. Surprisingly, the only places where there's no, support for all this has been in the Arab world. So is this a division which Israel is encashing, is identified to separate the Shias and the Sunnis? So, that's again something that needs to be seen. So, what is the dilemma for Israel? What next? So, the best is target the Hamas, target the Hezbollah, target the Houthis, target the militia in Syria, but don't get involved with a fight with Iran. Now, what if Iran is compelled to support its proxies and comes into a direct engagement with Israel by more than just a missile attack? So more than what a missile attack is, more than just targeting military facilities in a missile attack. That will have an effect on the region, like I said. So there's something that needs to be seen. And where are we heading is the question that everybody asks. Everybody wants to know, what are the future options? Now, Clausewitz had very famously said in his book on war that, you know, politics, war is just a continuation of politics. Now, if that is the case, there means at that time what he said, you have military objectives, but the military objective should lead to resolving a political issue. What are the larger political issues that you're looking at? So what do you feel are the long-term, aims of Israel? Now, one aim could be what I told you, reduce Hezbollah, degrade them to a degree, eliminate Hamas, reduce the militia in Syria, target the Houthis, and you have all of them subdued. That is one aim. But is the aim going to be to occupy Gaza, to impose their will on West Bank, to occupy parts of southern Lebanon, and and in that case, what will the longer term implications of this be? Will it lead to perpetual peace or will it lead to more conflict? Is a question which is very, very difficult to answer at this time. So what are the long term aims? So that's why I've always said that today the world community, the international community needs to get these two sides to get together, to talk and to resolve the issue. This has to be done. There is no solution but talks for ceasefire. Surprisingly, there were talks going on for ceasefire, and people felt that with Prime Minister Netanyahu visiting UN, he would unlikely to attack the Hezbollah leadership at that time, but that's precisely what took place. While he was addressing the UN General Assembly, apparently he gave orders for elimination of Nasrallah. So, and then he flew back immediately. And though Nasrallah was killed on the 27th, it was only announced on the 28th. So, this is a trauma which the world is going to face. The issue is that in the earlier conflicts which Israel had with the Arab world, the 73 war, there was peace which prevailed based on the accords which took place in 1979. Now we have to see is peace at the back burner and is conflict at the front end of Israel's designs. That is what is most important. So in the current escalatory environment that is existing, I feel that the US and its international allies have a great role to play to encourage diplomatic settlement of this. And this is what is most important. Though people feel that as far as Prime Minister Netanyahu is concerned, his political survival depends upon continuation of conflict. And as said earlier, that today we are in a period which is characterized by the constancy of conflict. The answer remains is that when this end, will there be a better day ahead, or will we still have these persisting problems to deal with? Thank you.